What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, I hope you guys are ready because we are jumping into X-Men, the Trial of Magneto. This will be issue number 1 coming out of the Hellfire Gala. And if you aren't completely caught up on everything that went on in the Hellfire Gala, go ahead and check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on everything that happened in that event. Now, this is written by Leah Williams and the art is Lucas Rennick. And picking up with the Trial of Magneto, we currently have X-Factor, X-Force, and the X-Men doing an investigation to exactly what happened. How was Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, killed? Who murdered her and why? And it appears that all the evidence is pointing towards Magneto. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, so as we dive into issue number 1 of the Trial of Magneto, we are picking up with X-Factor currently trying to figure out exactly what happened that night. More or less being babysat by X-Men and X-Force. But the issue is everybody wants to know how this happened. Who killed the Scarlet Witch and why? And of course, we're gonna have some tension here. X-Factor, Northstar, he doesn't want any of these guys here. But at the end of the day, X-Force was in charge of security. They were in charge of ensuring something like this did not happen. And because it did, they need to figure out how it happened, who did it, and how it was possible to be done under their noses. And so we see Dakin really sniffing out the locations that she was at, and Rachel trying to reconstruct what happened here. And while they are doing all of this, back in the gardens, we have Beast, Eye-Boy, Prodigy, and a few others. And what we see them doing is their autopsy on the Scarlet Witch, trying to figure out exactly what happened here. And as we see all of the mutants really start to piece this evidence together, they learn that her hands were bound, but it was bound with something that was seemingly inorganic. And as this investigation comes to a close, the verdict is that she was strangled. It was death by strangulation, and the weapon was through supernatural magnetization. And of course, the number 1 person on the list, the one individual that has the ability to do this outside of Polaris, is of course Magneto, with Polaris asking for a little bit of a head start to be able to get to him before anybody else. We're taken to the Quiet Council meeting, and right now Magneto is freaking livid because he's trying to convince the Quiet Council to vote on getting Scarlet Witch resurrected. Now, of course, everybody here at the table, they believe already without having the evidence on hand that Magneto had something to do with this because of how frantic he wants her resurrected. Because he's being arrogant, he's being cocky, he's even threatening individuals. And though Xavier has attempts of trying to calm him down, these do not work because Xavier lets him know that there are current investigations going into finding out exactly how Scarlet Witch was murdered. And this only ignites him more, only infuriates him further, because his thoughts is with all of these individuals, it could be very easy for somebody to tamper with this, especially when any of them could be suspects. But finally, Professor X has heard enough of this, telling everybody that they need to do a vote. This is what the council was meant for, and so he asks, who would like to see Scarlet Witch resurrected? And of the Quiet Council, we only have 3 individuals that raise their hand. And with X telling him that that's that, this is it. We've made the decision and she will not be resurrected. And of course, this infuriates him. And we see Magneto use his abilities on X, using his abilities to crush his helmet around his head. Professor X starts bleeding profusely from every hole in his skull. And with this attack, we see Nightcrawler jump in, Kate Pryde quickly get behind Magneto, letting him know that she will literally rip his spine out. And so Magneto backs down, but lets them know that they are all choosing this decision. This is a choice they make, and he knows that they are going to come to regret this. Now at this point, everybody on the council is just looking at him with with a lot of disdain, with a lot of distaste, telling him that he's acting like a bully, saying that he's not the most powerful mutant anymore, and that he needs to check himself. He needs to learn real quick that other people are going to be able to put him in his place. And with that, Magneto, he exits the room, knowing that they are going to come to regret this decision. He makes his way off. But it's not too much longer before he's met by Northstar, X-Force, X-Factor, and the X-Men. And at first, he's unsure what the meaning of all of this is, but he realizes very quickly that they are suspecting him of killing Wanda. Northstar instructing him that he needs to come with them. And at this point, Magneto is done. He is sick and tired of people trying to boss him around. Yeah, we gotta remember, at the end of the day, this is freaking Magneto. And while he's on this quiet council, he's helping KRAKOA. He's become part of the bigger picture because he wants to help all mutant kind. He has that dream. But I think for a long time, people have gotten away with too much when it comes to Magneto. He's given too much leeway, too much slack for so long. And finally, we see him done with this. Northstar trying to give him this command. He tells him, no, I don't think I'm going anywhere with anybody. And now it's about time for everybody to learn their place. Now this is the part where we pick up in Manhattan at the KRAKOan gate. And we have the Avengers currently here, all waiting on somebody to come through the gate. And as Vision approaches, he realizes that something is off because these flowers that are surrounding the gate, these are Wanda's favorite flowers. Not only that, but she never returned from the Hellfire Gala. But they're not waiting long before Professor X comes out of the gateway. He comes out of the gateway and he informs them that Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, has died. Not only did she die, but she was murdered on KRAKOan land. And so not only is this a very tragic death, but it's a very political death, with KRAKOA trying so desperately to make things work with the rest of the nations, with the rest of the world. Having the Scarlet Witch murdered on their grounds does not bode well for them in the eyes of the Avengers. But that's what's going to take us back to our fight, with X-Factor, X-Force, and the X-Men all coming to try to apprehend Magneto. Him not having any of it, we see a fight break out, with Daken jumping in and stabbing him in the back. These guys think they get the upper hand. They think they might have an opportunity to be able to really take him on. But there is so much KRAKOan metal ore in the ground that none of them stand a real chance against him. Polaris being the only individual to break his stride even a little bit. But at the end of the day, not even she is going to stop him. And with Magneto having the upper hand, with him taking on all of these freaking mutants, and not one of them being able to stop him, Magneto disappears. Finding nothing but his helmet left behind, everybody is in absolute confusion. Because right now, Magneto is getting pummeled. He is getting fists left and right so quick that he can't even see straight. Because we just had the arrival of Quicksilver, learning of his sister's death, assuming that it's Magneto. Magneto always seeing Wanda as broken, always something that just could not be fixed, something that needed to be dealt with. Quicksilver believes it was only a matter of time before this happened, before Wanda died at the hands of Eric. And with Magneto being beat to about an inch of his life, Northstar comes just in time to be able to stop him, to be able to calm him down before he kills Magneto. With Magneto now in this state, barely holding on to any bit of life, they need to get him to the healing gardens. Getting Magneto to these gardens, they have him in a more or less comatose state. Now keeping him in this state kind of keeps him in check. Keeps him in a prison of his own mind, makes it to where he cannot escape. They can continue their investigation and try to dig in deeper, maybe with some of Emma Frost's help, to truly find out what happened that night. But as it stands right now, his mind is an absolute mess, a nightmare, and there is no possible way that they are going to get any kind of information out of him right now. Now, as this story comes to a close, we pick up with Scarlet Witch. Floating out in some kind of starry area, she suddenly awakes with a gasp of air, unsure of where she is, what is going on, or what happened to her. What we see is her look down on her body, seeing herself covered in blood, a white hooded figure driving a dagger into her stomach and removing it. And so by all appearances, she is no longer alive. The Scarlet Witch has died, but yet somehow, some way, she knows that she is not dead. She knows that she is still alive. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda had a feeling that was coming. I kinda had a feeling that they weren't gonna completely just do away with Scarlet Witch, especially with how much success she is having on TV right now. We can only see that transferring over to comics and people wanting to see more of her. And I really believe the whole Wanda dying was just for the awe factor, to really get people interested on what's going on with this X-Men run. And as it stands, this issue, everything is pointing at Magneto being the one to kill her. But by all accounts, we know that's not going to be it. That's too simple of an answer to this overall scheme. But one of my biggest takeaways from this issue, I'm gonna have to say it's Magneto. Because for a long time, we've been seeing most mutants, but Magneto specifically really checking themselves, really adhering to a new higher power, which is KRAKOA. Trying to make this work, trying to have this melting pot of prior villains, of good guys, everybody working together on a new clean slate. Magneto has really checked himself in a lot of ways. Because yes, while there are a lot of mutants out there that are super powerful and have definitely come into their powers, Magneto has only gotten stronger. And while no matter how much power the X-Force, the X-Men, X-Factor really believe they have with numbers combined, when you piss somebody like Magneto off, you push him to that brink, you're gonna see this happen. You're gonna see somebody like him just completely snap. Be done with all of these games, all of these little tactics. And it's really nice just to see someone like Magneto finally be done with it. Finally release all of that pent up aggression that he's been holding in, to have some kind of rebellion against the Quiet Council. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out, and until the next breakdown.